Hello friends! Thank you so much for stopping by. For those of you who are new, my name is AJ and I'm an aspiring science fiction and fantasy author. If you hear a bunch of wild background noise, just to let you know, I do live in a downtown-ish area of a city. Okay, I thought it would be fun to introduce you guys a little bit more to my current work in progress, Project Dark Water, and to just be real for a moment about some of the struggles I'm having and the fears I have writing a fantasy novel for the first time. So get cozy, get comfortable, and let's just jump right into it. For some background, I have been writing fantasy, science fiction, and post-apocalyptic stories for some time now. You know, when I was young, I really wrote as a hobby, as many of us and many aspiring writers have, but I never took finishing a novel and trying to get it published seriously. A lot of these were just passion pieces that I never really got even to the middle of it. I have to this day never finished an entire full-length novel, and I decided that while I'm in my let's try it era, I might as well get a little bit more serious and pursue something that's been a dream of mine for probably a decade. For my debut novel, I decided to stick to my roots and write a fantasy novel. Project Dark Waters can confidently be classified, as it stands currently in draft 1, as a fantasy adventure with a romantic subplot best suited for new adult audiences. So I guess I would call it a new adult fantasy novel with a romantic subplot. Now, the reason I'm not calling it romantasy is because I'm still dealing with how I want to approach the romantic angle, and at the moment, the fantasy and adventure plot lines and character development is taking center stage, and the romance is evolving into this organic, almost natural, because they are stuck together, they are developing feelings. And I don't know how primary that's going to be to the story, but we'll see. I'm currently in draft 1, so a lot of things can change, especially as I grow as a writer and as my novel figures itself out. Some of the big things I'm wondering and trying to figure out for the manuscript is really how I want to approach the romantic angle. What level of spice do I want in the story? Do I want open or closed romantic physical intimacy scenes? I mean, these are things that Okay, where was I? Yes, the romantic angle and how I want to approach it. The answer is, I don't know. I have a lot of things I have to figure out. What level of spice that I want to put into the novel, open or closed physical intimacy, it's something I'm probably not going to figure out until maybe draft 2 or 3. Yeah, ultimately I have to figure out how much kissing I want involved in my story at the moment and what I'm comfortable writing. So moving on to the next big concern that I'm having. Although I have written in fantasy before, I've never had a set of limitations to work with in terms of building a world and developing a magic system. When you're writing just for fun and flying by the seat of your pants, it doesn't matter because you can make things up on the go, but that doesn't necessarily work when you're trying to get a full story developed from start to end. It's just my comfort zone tends to be in world building and making it expansive. I have also DM'd like D&D campaigns, and so it's there's always something new that you can create, and I'm worried that the way I'm approaching it right now, it's going to be overwhelming for the reader. There's 4 main continents in my story, and there's a number of island nations and archipelagos with distinct communities and religions that I don't even know if all of it is going to make it into the story, but it exists. Like, I have it in my head, they're there. So it's a really tough balancing scale for me that has honestly made it hard to continue to progress, because I'm just so worried that it's all too much for the reader. Not necessarily for me, because I hold on to this as my creative comfort zone, but if I put too much, I'm just worried that it's going to make the reader not want to read the book. And same with my magic system. There's a magic system in my novel, and there's a lot that magic can do. I run the risk of creating that magic wand effect where some of these obstacles can be overcome by simply magicking it away, and that's what I don't want to have happen. The problem is my fears on my world being too much and my magic being too powerful is making it hard to put words on the paper, because I've almost already told myself and convinced myself that everything I write from now on is going to be too much. And it's probably a bit of imposter syndrome at the moment. So I am trying to just allow myself to use draft 1 as this narrative playing field. Figure out exactly the kind of story I want to tell, and if there's too much magic, if there's too much world building, I will eventually figure it out. But putting nothing down is not a solution to figuring it all out. I think what's going to work best for me is to just have something there and to work through it, and then eventually, when there are other eyes on it, when I've had a second to think about it, it'll start to become something a bit more manageable. Now, I think this is pretty obvious, especially for people who have been writing a lot, is to treat draft 1 as this blank canvas, as a way for you to write for you. I think ultimately draft 1 is for the author, it is not for the reader. It's for the writer to figure out the story they want to tell, and I just have to keep reminding myself that pretty consistently. And I'm hoping eventually, when I get used to it, if I keep writing, then it will become second nature. But if any of you are also struggling with this, just know I am there with you, and I just have to remind myself it's okay to make mistakes in this round. It will all work out in the end. And I think that by accepting this, I've been able to get a little farther in this process, and probably a lot farther than I ever have. So I've reached the point where I am outlining part 4 of my novel, which means I'm outlining the end of my novel. I've never had an idea for an ending of one of my stories, so for me, this is huge. It is an amazing win, and I am so excited to continue on. I've also come to realize that I can't just pants things. That's not the way that my type A personality sees these projects through. I need to have a little bit of a structure and organization, so I feel like I have a place or a direction that I'm moving towards. And so this weekend, I actually hope to get part 4 outlined and complete. And then for the first time in my life, I'm gonna have a fully outlined fantasy novel to write. It is going to be bad. I know the outline is going to be terrible and full of holes, but it is better than anything I've had before, so I'm taking the win. And honestly, through this process, I just want to accept those victories, write the story that I want to read, something that I am proud of, and just hope that someone else other than me, when this story is eventually finished, will enjoy the book as well. Someone other than my fiance, because he is obligated to like my novel, he doesn't get a say in it. That pretty much wraps up everything I wanted to cover in this video. Thank you all so much for sticking around. I would love to hear any of your insights, your preferences in what you like to read in your novels. Do you like big, expansive worlds, or do you like it to be more character-driven? What are some of your favorite magic systems? What are some of your favorite limitations or obstacles that main characters have to overcome? Feel free to let me know any of your thoughts down below in the comments, and thank you so much for sticking around, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.